On the afternoon of April 23rd, 2025, 11-year-old Adrianna Younge visited the Doubleday Hotel at Tushin, East Bank, Essequibo. She was accompanied by her grandmother and family members for a routine Easter outing. Around 1 to 1:10 p.m., she was seen purchasing the band granting access to the hotel's small pool and then entering the water. This marked her final confirmed sighting. As Adriana failed to return within a short time, family members conducted their own search of the pool and surrounding premises. Concerned, they alerted the Tushin police station at approximately 3:30 p.m. However, their anxiety turned to shock when hotel staff reportedly blocked relatives from further access to the pool or hotel interior, raising immediate suspicion among onlookers. Search efforts continued well into the evening and into Wednesday night, including participation by police officers, hotel staff, and community volunteers. Yet, despite repeated checks, Adriana's body was not located. Then, after nearly 20 hours, at 10 to 10:30 a.m. on April 24th, hotel staff discovered Adriana floating upright in the same pool. Villagers familiar with the scene uniformly stated the water had appeared empty during earlier rounds of searching and that they had not seen her until that morning. News of the discovery spread rapidly across social media platforms, igniting outrage across Guyana. Protesters gathered at the hotel entrance and blocked access. Anger escalated when video footage circulated showing hotel personnel seemingly laughing or standing by while distraught family members pleaded to search the premises. The mob then moved from barricading entrances to setting fire to the hotel itself, as well as the private home of its owner. The violence intensified when riot police intervened, firing tear gas and rubber bullets at protesters. Two men were shot and killed during looting attempts that followed. In a nationally televised address on April 24th, President Irfan Ali visited the grieving family and promised full transparency. He pledged that no resource will be spared and that a thorough inquiry, from the moment of the missing persons report through to body recovery, would be undertaken. Despite this assurance, distrust had already taken hold. Days later, Vice President Bharat Jagdeo addressed the issue. He announced that the government had retained Leonard McCaution, a retired RCMP homicide investigator with decades of experience, to assist local detectives in an independent review of the circumstances surrounding the girl's death. Jagdeo made clear that the goal was to determine whether negligence or foul play might have contributed to the tragedy. "We want to find the truth," he insisted. Questions emerged almost immediately about the unusual timeline. How could Adriana's body remain submerged in a small pool, searched repeatedly by hotel staff and family members for nearly 20 hours? Reporters and citizens pointed out that trained personnel and hotel employees should have been able to detect a submerged body under such focused conditions. The timeline discrepancy became a focal point of speculation and growing distrust. Efforts to clarify the official narrative were further undermined by what was later admitted as a premature and false claim. Initial police bulletins reported that surveillance footage showed Adriana entering a red and black vehicle with plate number PSS 4684, leaving the hotel premises. That claim was swiftly retracted, and police later acknowledged it was erroneous. The man arrested and held briefly based on that vehicle identification was released without charges. That initial misinformation amplified accusations of incompetence, or worse, within the police force. Meanwhile, calls for independence in the investigation grew louder. While the government had convened three pathologists, Dr. Shubhakar Karapal, Barbados, Dr. Glenn Rudner, Mount Sinai Hospital, New York, and Dr. Gary Collins, Chief Medical Examiner, Delaware, to conduct a highly visible April 28th autopsy, Adriana's family rejected governmental affiliation in the process. They insisted on a second autopsy in the U.S. to ensure impartiality, a request that the state eventually accommodated. These demands reflected deep distrust between the family and local institutions. In the days following the death of 11-year-old Adrianna Younge, the questions surrounding her disappearance grew louder, but the silence from those closest to the scene was deafening. As the official narrative failed to answer critical inconsistencies, members of the public turned to online forums and social media, where a wave of public suspicion ignited. What began as a tragic loss soon escalated into a national crisis of trust, one that has yet to be resolved. The hotel where Adriana's body was discovered, the now infamous Doubleday Hotel in Tucson, has become the focus of intense scrutiny. Locals and online observers have expressed disbelief not just at what happened there, but at what didn't. No public statement from the hotel's ownership, no immediate cooperation with Adriana's family during the critical hours of her disappearance, and most unsettling of all, no clarity about who was responsible for events unfolding that day. According to multiple reports and eyewitness accounts circulating online, Adriana's family pleaded with hotel management to assist in searching for the missing child. Instead, they were allegedly met with indifference and resistance. Security cameras, which might have offered vital clues about Adriana's movements, were reportedly either non functional or their footage withheld. The narrative that she had left in a car was widely dismissed by the public, who found the timing and explanation implausible. This lack of transparency has created fertile ground for rumor, with many drawing on previous incidents at the same hotel to bolster concerns. In one such case, dating back to 2012, a young man reportedly died under mysterious circumstances in the very same pool where Adriana was later found. Though charges were allegedly filed against individuals linked to the hotel, they were later dropped. Whether or not these events are directly related, the perception of a pattern of lives lost without accountability has only intensified public anger. As the investigation unfolded, new questions emerged, this time about the conduct of law enforcement itself. Videos and unverified reports began circulating on social media, alleging that a plainclothes officer was seen setting part of the hotel on fire shortly after Adriana's body was found. While some suggested this may have been an attempt to destroy potential evidence, others questioned whether such actions were carried out under official orders or as part of a cover up. To date, no public response has been issued by Guyanese police to address those fire related allegations, nor has there been a statement clarifying the chain of custody of Adriana's remains or the exact circumstances surrounding the timing of her discovery. These gaps have not only fueled speculation, but prompted broader discussions about systemic failure and impunity within law enforcement and the justice system. Social media has become a powerful conduit for this outrage, with users voicing frustration over what they see as institutional indifference. But even within the noise, a shared thread of anguish is clear. Many feel that a child died on public premises under suspicious conditions, and that those in positions of power either failed to act or actively worked to suppress the truth. One particularly persistent point of contention is the timeline of Adriana's disappearance and the state in which her body was found. Reports indicate that Adriana vanished after obtaining a wristband to access the hotel pool with family. After hours of searching, both on the property and in nearby areas, her body was eventually discovered the next morning, floating vertically in the pool. Her face was described as pale, and there were visible abrasions on her arms and knees. These details led many to challenge the initial autopsy ruling of accidental drowning. If the pool had been searched the day before, how could her body suddenly appear the next day in the same location? In response to mounting pressure, the Guyanese government eventually brought in an independent pathologist to conduct a secondary review of the case. That expert, originally from Guyana but based in Delaware, confirmed drowning as the cause of death. However, even this conclusion did little to soothe public doubt. Many felt the broader context of the case, the hotel's history, the conduct of staff and police, the rapid cremation discussions, was being ignored or papered over. Further complicating the narrative are reports that the hotel owners fled the country in the days after Adriana's death. While some argue they left due to fear of retaliation from an angry public, others interpret the departure as a calculated attempt to escape accountability. The government has not confirmed whether these individuals are considered suspects, nor whether any extradition measures are being pursued. For many Guyanese citizens, the Adrianna Younge case has come to symbolize more than a single tragedy. It is a reflection of deeper social fractures. A fragile justice system, uneven policing, and perceptions of political cronyism have combined to create a sense of helplessness and fury. As the country eyes foreign investment and growing tourism tied to its oil boom, residents are asking, if justice cannot be secured for a murdered child, what safety does anyone truly have? In the absence of concrete answers, the cry for justice grows louder. What's clear is that the silence surrounding Adrianna Younge's death speaks volumes. And for a grieving nation, that silence is no longer acceptable. Months after the tragic death of 11-year-old Adrianna Younge at the Doubleday Hotel, official statements and legal action are starting to address the safety, transparency, and investigative failures that have shaken public confidence across Guyana. In late July 2025, the crime chief of Guyana, Wendell Blenheim, publicly confirmed that Adriana's case remains an active investigation. He emphasized that every credible lead is still being pursued and that police have neither classified the case as closed nor issued charges. Blenheim reaffirmed the commitment of the Guyana Police Force, GPF, to see the files through to the Director of Public Prosecutions once completed. Attorney Dr. Dexter Todd confirmed that surveillance cameras at the Doubleday Hotel were operational at the time of the incident and questioned why police have not acted on the available footage. Expressing concern that authorities may be waiting for the footage to become inaccessible, Dr. Todd emphasized that once the police investigation concludes, the family intends to pursue legal action. He revealed that the only document provided thus far is the postmortem report, which has been sent to Dr. Carol Terry in Georgia for independent analysis. Dr. Terry, serving as a quality assurance expert, has made multiple unanswered inquiries regarding photographs, video evidence, and the pool's tile surface to determine if Adriana could have been trapped. Dr. Todd also noted that several individuals visible on the hotel's surveillance footage have not been contacted or interviewed by police, including the person who initially broadcast the search for Adriana via livestream. Additionally, findings from private investigators retained by the family, as well as a report from a retired Canadian investigator, have yet to be acknowledged or acted upon by the authorities, despite the police's claim that the investigation remains active. Meanwhile, Adriana's family has taken formal legal steps, filing notice of intent to sue the police over a still unreleased autopsy report. Their attorneys allege continued obfuscation and delay, arguing that withholding critical medical findings hampers their ability to secure justice. Additionally, their legal team, led by Dr. Dexter Todd, has reiterated the call for a public commission of inquiry, citing systemic failure by both hotel management and law enforcement officials. Investigative commentary from experts has also emerged. A former homicide detective, Carlotta Taylor, has publicly criticized the initial GPF response, stating deficiencies in scene management and preliminary evidence preservation. While not part of official proceedings, her public concerns underscore the gravity and persistence of investigative shortcomings. Local news outlets further reported on technical review findings. A Canadian investigator consulted on the case confirmed that the pool where Adriana was found had not been properly examined during early search efforts. The report maintained that no foul play was detected based on the limited evidence, but flagged procedural shortcomings in evidence collection and forensic documentation. A detailed recap published by Guyana Business Journal in early June reinforced these concerns. The article noted that Adriana was last seen alive at 1:29 p.m., disappeared within minutes, and that despite multiple reported searches, her body remained undetected until the next morning in the same pool. Worse still, a false narrative by police stating she had left the premises via a red and black vehicle was swiftly retracted and undermined trust. The same report explicitly questioned the thoroughness of pool and building searches, noting that standard investigative procedures seemed neglected in the crucial hours following her disappearance. Such revelations have accelerated pressure for accountability. The family's attorneys are explicitly demanding not just the report, but full disclosure of crime scene logs, hotel surveillance metadata, and internal police communications that might shed light on why early investigative steps failed or were obstructed. In parallel, legal experts confirm this case marks a watershed. The decision to allow a second autopsy abroad, an unprecedented action for a child's death in Guyana, underscores the refusal of Adriana's family to accept the local forensic conclusions as definitive. The second autopsy was performed in Gwinnett County, Georgia, under independent pathologists, and while it reaffirmed the official drowning finding, the family continues to insist the broader circumstances were inadequately explained. Heartland and diaspora media have begun to amplify the call for broader institutional remedies, not just for Adriana's case, but for national standards on child safety, hotel regulation, and law enforcement transparency. Editorial commentary in June referred to this case as emblematic of a justice system in need of urgent reform and regarding this as an imperative for accountability across sectors. Within days of the tragedy, Guyanese communities abroad mobilized in grief and purpose. Thousands of Guyanese in the diaspora responded with candlelight vigils in New York, Barbados, the UK, Canada, and beyond, marking the girl's death not as an isolated loss, but as a collective call for justice and reform critically needed within their homeland's institutions. In Brooklyn and Queens, vigils were organized by diaspora activists including Melissa Atwell Holder, Rickford Burke, Caribbean Guyana Institute for Democracy, and Bonita Montique, United Bridge Builders Mission. Attendees held placards reading Justice for Adriana and Say Her Name as they voiced solidarity with her family and raised urgent questions about how she could disappear and then reappear in a pool that had reportedly been searched multiple times. Similar gatherings in Barbados and the UK opened condolences books and shared collective grief, amplifying pressure for transparent answers. The diaspora's engagement extended beyond mourning. Activist led campaigns and digital campaigns urged the government of Guyana to engage international law enforcement agencies to ensure impartiality. The family's legal representatives explicitly requested FBI, Scotland Yard, and RCMP involvement, citing a profound lack of confidence in local systems. The government has yet to officially accede to that demand. In formal statements, the International Decade for People of African Descent Assembly, Guyana, IDPADA-G, a coalition of 78 African-centered organizations, called for a fully empowered, internationally led independent probe. They criticized the government's decision to appoint a single retired RCMP officer as an advisor, calling it insufficient given the gravity of the case. During a confidential May 7, 2025 meeting in the commissioner's boardroom, GPF officials, including Commissioner Hicken and Deputy Commissioners Boudram and McBean, reaffirmed that the investigation remains active and that water samples from the pool had been sent overseas for independent forensic testing. They also pledged regular updates to the legal team while safeguarding the investigation's integrity. In his June address, President Irfan Ali promised transparency and pledged to review laws and standard operating procedures, SOPs, governing missing persons. Among changes legislated, elimination of the 24-hour waiting period, implementation of immediate red alerts for missing children, and a nationwide advisory calling for CCTV installation at public pools. These reforms directly follow the public backlash regarding Adriana's death and highlight urgent institutional deficits. Diaspora involvement has also supported the family directly. Fundraising initiatives by Guyanese abroad have helped cover legal costs, travel expenses for independent pathologists, and communication campaigns keeping global attention fixed on the case. Meanwhile, diaspora media outlets, including News America's Now and Caribbean Life, have published widespread coverage of events in Guyana and international vigils, prompting political figures overseas to publicly urge Guyanese officials to act before the issue fades from headlines. At home, the pressure catalyzed the launch of a youth led campaign. On May 12th, a social media influencer's call initiated a 2 week no work, no school protest, demanding federal intervention and worldwide visibility for Adriana's case and a former school nurse awaiting release on bail. Although controversial, the protest underscored rising impatience with institutional inertia. Meanwhile, civil society groups such as the Working People's Alliance, UG alumni and student associations, and Diaspora organized initiatives have practical proposals. Independent audits of crime scene protocols, SOP reviews with international input, SOPs for hotel safety standards, public disclosure regimes for investigative findings, and a fully authorized independent commission to oversee all steps of the inquiry. Accountability measures consistent with demands put forward by IDPATA G and the family's attorneys. As of mid 2025, several next steps are visible. The GPF remains committed to completing the investigation, water samples have been processed internationally, and the legal action filed by Adriana's family continues. However, no foreign agency has yet assumed leadership, and no public timeline has been published for the full release of investigation findings. Calls persist for an urgent, independent commission, legal transparency, and direct diaspora participation in oversight. What is clear is that the diaspora has transformed grief into global advocacy, demanding accountability, pushing for institutional reform, and holding both homeland officials and justice systems to public scrutiny. The family's persistence in partnership with civil society and diaspora allies has reframed the case from private mourning to an international test of institutional integrity. Whether that pressure translates into concrete justice remains to be seen, but for many, action now is the only way to honor Adriana's memory. Adrianna Younge was just 11 years old. Her life, full of promise, was cut short under circumstances that have left a nation and its diaspora searching for answers and demanding accountability. While investigations remain ongoing, the delays, inconsistencies, and silence from key parties have shaken public trust and deepened suspicion. Yet amidst the heartbreak, a movement has emerged. From Georgetown to Brooklyn, from legal petitions to candlelight vigils, people have stood up to say, this child's life mattered. Her story is not forgotten. If Guyana is to move forward, Adriana's case cannot become another name in an unsolved file. Transparency, independent oversight, and justice, real justice, must prevail. As viewers, as citizens, as human beings, our role is not passive. Keep asking questions. Keep sharing her story. Keep the pressure alive. because justice delayed must not become justice denied. If this story moved you, don't stay silent. Like this video to amplify Adriana's story. Comment below with your thoughts, questions, or calls for justice. Share this video with others so that pressure continues to mount. And if you want to stay updated on Caribbean justice cases and investigations, subscribe to Caribbean Files and hit the bell so you never miss a critical update. Every view, every comment, every share pushes this issue higher in public visibility and closer to accountability. Together, we can demand answers.